It should come right out with a brush. We'll do it at home. I'll add it on to the end of this video. We'll close out the video. See you back at the bench. Okay, we're back on the bench. Let's see if we can get this casing out of here. Usually they're not too bad. I'll show you how I do it. The bolt out of your way. I just got my scope covered up with a scope cover. You want a brush that's going to fit inside the case, because if you ever push the brush in and then tried to pull it back out, it doesn't want to come out. We're going to rely on that resistance to pull the casing out. This is a 50 caliber. I don't know, it might be too big. We're going to see if I can get it to go in there. All right, it's going in. And it comes right out just like that. No big deal. Book. Right out. Pull the extractor out of the way, and there's our case. And here's the other side of it. Hopefully I can get this brush out. Just push it all the way through. Unscrew the brush. Slide the case off. And we'll clean out our chamber, because we're going to have some debris in there. And we'll check out some more of these cases that I fired and see what we can find. I'll give you as close up a view as I can. Not that you're going to see anything, but I'll let you see what I see. And it just, it actually blew. We'll measure these cases. This was not the top load. I fired off all the top load. This was the second load, second from the top. Seeing if I can find where it goes back together. Right about there. Right about there is where it goes back together. Pretty wild. Total case head separation. And now you saw how to get it out, just as easy as pie. All right. I guess we'll look at some of these loads, and the target is nothing to look at. We'll measure some of the brass and close out the video. Stand by. Okay. Like I said, the target was not much to look at. Here's the first, here's the second, here's the third, here's the fourth, fifth shot, sixth shot, seventh shot, eighth shot. Eighth was the max. That's the group it shot. Nothing special. It's 2 inches. Here was the seventh. I think this was the last shot. This is the one that had the case head separation. That's inside an inch. Never got to shoot the third because you know why. So this is what we got. Put them all together into a group. They're inside 3 inches. You know, nothing's outside the circles, but 3 inches is not what we're looking for. So may not have a load here with this powder at this setting that's going to work. May need to adjust the length. May need to change powders. Don't know. But let's look at some of these cases that we have on the gauge here. Now this is the RCBS Case Master, and it has this tool right here, which has a little bitty bent finger. You can do the same thing with a paper clip, but this one here has this little tool that's going to allow us to check these cases. So let's start with this is the lightest load Let's see if we can feel anything in here. Oh yeah, I feel it. It's not abrupt, but it's there. Just random the next one up. Where's this pointed? I got to point it up about 45 degrees. All right, I don't feel it in this one. This one's fine, nothing there. Next one. Absolutely. This one is distinct. Very distinct. And looking at it, you can see it. See it right there? Right there. That shiny spot. Let me get on here and zoom in for you. So, case mouth is going to be about that far away from the edge. And there it is. I mean, it falls right into it like a groove. It's distinct. Distinct. Go to the next one. Slight, but it's there. Next one. Yeah, it's starting. Not all the way around, but that's the way it goes. And I can actually see it a little bit right there. Next one. Absolutely, very distinct. Very distinct. And you can see we're getting a little bit of case swelling right down to that point. Now the problem is, or the question is, was this an issue beforehand? Did this case start to stretch when it was 3006? Or is something happening here? Did my shoulder get bumped back with my reloading? Yeah, very distinct. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull starting, not distinct. And again, all I'm doing is, this is a right angle. Little sharp edge, right angle. And it's scraping on the inside of the case to let you feel where that indentation was from where this came apart. Because what happens is, see how thick it is in here? If you understand what this is. And I apologize to those who understand how this works, but we can all learn together. So what happens is, the way the case is, it's drawn. Okay, it's a piece of metal and it's drawn out to be this shape. So it gets thinner and thinner and thinner, and it stays pretty thin all through here. So it's pretty uniform through here. It's very uniform out at the end. But as we get down in here, what we're calling the web, we're calling it the web because of the thickness change, where it goes from very thick to very thin. As your case lengthens, which they do just with firing and using them, it pulls, it draws from there. So that's where it gets thinnest fast. First, fastest. And when you have a little bit of a headspace issue, whether it's a problem with the way your cartridge chamber was cut, or it's a problem you've caused by moving the shoulder back with your resizing. This is the reason why when we set up our dies, we try to minimalize shoulder bump, because it's minimalizing working the brass too much to save our brass. I happen to get it right back in the spot. It fits back together. So we're gonna have a long video here because I'm 6 minutes talking. Let me get you off video. Let me pull a couple of these at random and check them again. I'll come right back. I pulled 3 different ones. Let's see if we've got, yep, it's there. It's there already. So more than likely it's not something that we produced. It was already there with these Winchester cases. That there's a little bit in there. And there, it's in there. Okay, it's already there. So that's a little bit of a relief. I didn't believe that I had a problem with the gun, but you don't know. So let's now see if I'm bumping the shoulder back. These are 3 cases that I resized, not fired. Here's 3 cases that, well, 2 that we can read, that were fired in the gun. 1 starting load and 1 maximum load. Let's read the shoulder on those. So this should be the exact dimension of my chamber. So let me get set up. Stand by. Okay, we're all set up. Got the comparator in the caliper. Got the caliper zeroed. I decided to punch the primers because if the primers are proud at all, it's going to mess up our numbers. So these 2 with the black on the base are fired cases. These 3 are sized unfired cases. So doesn't matter which one we do first. Let's just do this one just because we're here. Probably the easier way to do this is to zero this, because then it will come up instantly if there's a difference. All right, so we're zeroed, and you want to spin it to make sure you got a good reading. That's a fired case. I'm sorry, that is a sized case. Let's see how much change there is with a fired case. Quite a bit. Well, not really. 10 hundredths, 11 hundredths, 11 and a half hundredths. 1 thousandths would be one big number. To show you how much difference we're talking about. We go back here, 910, so 810, 811, or yeah, 811, 910, there's 810. That gap right there, that's the amount that shoulder moved. That's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. So we did bump that shoulder back. We did bump that shoulder back quite a bit. Do it this way. This is why we check, and we don't want to bump the shoulder any more than we need to, because it works on the brass a lot. Okay, there's a fired case. We'll do it the other way. There's a fired case. Fired, dirty, fired case. Fired case. Take a different resized case. We were 11 and a half before. 10, 5, 11. 10, 5, 11. So we're bumping that shoulder back that far. Let me pull this back to 0. Zero. Lock it in. That's the amount that shoulder is moving forward. All that has to be made up from the brass flowing, and the brass is pulling from down there. Of course, it pulls the whole length, but that's where it's stretching from, right down there. And that's why. So, we learned that we didn't create the problem. The problem was already there, because this case is already starting to swell, stretch. We exacerbated it by moving that shoulder too much. So, there we go. We didn't cause the problem. We made the problem. I made the problem worse. How I didn't have this set to minimize shoulder bump, I'm not sure. But you can bet your bippy I'm going to go set my dies now. There we go. Let's close this out. It's a long video. Turned into a learning experience. But hopefully I was able to explain, and hopefully if this was a gray area for you, you learned it's pretty easy to pull a piece of brass out of your chamber, and you learned what caused it. We got a problem. We corrected the problem. We checked things out, investigated, and we found that the problem existed with the brass that I chose, and it was exacerbated or made worse by bumping the shoulder back too much when I resized the cases. So there we go. Sorry for the long video. Hope it was informative. God bless everybody. CW out.